Happy Friday morning, Chiefs Kingdom. This is all Chiefed Up. Thanks for tuning in, whether you're on the way to work or just sitting around, whatever you're doing. Glad you tuned in. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like, hit the subscribe, comment, tell us something about your life. I don't know. Do something. Help us get this algorithm working. And we appreciate you, man, for real.
Just see on Twitter where the guy, he was so mad at a headline on our video because it said Andy Reid on the hot seat with a question mark. And the whole point is we were making fun of someone that said this on Twitter in the video, talking about how stupid it was. Well, this guy goes in full rage mode and he's like,
"This is just ridiculous. Why are you even saying this? This is why no one's ever going to."
Somebody didn't watch the video.
Dude.
And then he deleted everything.
You guys got to start paying attention. All Chiefed Up has been calling stuff all off season, man. Our draft pick record. I mean, come on, guys, you're missing out.
Well, the Chiefs have a problem right now, guys. They have went out and restructured the whole defense and everything like that. But one key piece to that, I think everyone had some faith that Melvin Ingram was just a given to be back with the Chiefs. And here he goes and signs with Miami like the rest of the rejects from Chiefs camp. So what are we going to do on that defensive end now? I think we're just basically sitting with Karlaftis and Clark, Mike Dana, Joshua Kando. Is there anybody else we even have playing defensive end right now?
I can't think of another one off the top of my head. But you're right. Everybody is going to Miami. I don't know whether it's the sun down there, the beautiful weather, the women,
it's the money.
You name it. It's everything but the football team, because that's a horrible football culture. But it's like nowadays, nobody cares about that. Like, as long as it's nice and 90 degrees all year long and you can flex your Lamborghini down the road or whatever. It's that's all these kids
are. That's all these kids are worried about. They don't care about playing football. But
it's okay. I mean, I'd probably do it too. I mean,
yeah,
dang,
I don't blame them. I'm not trying to be.
I'd probably do it.
I'm not trying to be old and bitter about it or anything, but I'm just saying that's the truth. They don't really care about football as long as they get paid, you know.
Hey, and don't get me wrong. If like, for example, if our contracts are similar between Kansas City or whoever and a team from Florida, that no state income tax is a big winner.
Oh yeah, you can't.
So it's tough to compete with that.
And like, I don't care about my job. I only do it for the money. So I mean, right. I get it.
Is that state income tax Florida does where they don't do it? And then who is the other state that don't have a state income? Is it Texas?
Texas or Tennessee? One, I don't remember.
Shouldn't that be negated somehow with NFL rules? Because that's a big selling point for them to always get free agents when you get to save what, $5, $6, $7 million a year minimum.
Well, they should just stop taxing people anyway and put still in everybody's money, you know?
Yeah, let's just cut out the state income tax everywhere. That's the solution. We figured it out today. Episode over, guys.
Thanks for tuning in. You've been listening to All Chiefed Up.
Oh, for real, though. So the first thing you want to do is go look at free agency and see what's still available, which we missed on all the big edge rushers, obviously, this year. Miller went to Buffalo. You had Khalil Mack go to Los Angeles. You had Chandler Jones go to the Raiders. There was a lot of movement on the edge position, but the Chiefs never got in on any of that. Like, even though everybody's screaming like we have to have edge rushers, they never seemed interested in any of the edge rushers in free agency, which we alluded to. We thought that's what they were going to focus on in the draft. And they did put some stock in Karlaftis, grabbing him at the end of the first round, which love that pick, love Karlaftis. So that's good, but they didn't try to reinsure that anymore. Like, that was it. They didn't even get another guy. They passed on Nick Bonito. They passed on a lot of decent prospects there. So,
you know, and that was one of the knocks. They were so hyper focused on fixing the secondary. They kind of overlooked the fact that, hey, we don't got a pass rusher either.
So we have 75 DBs on this team and 4 edge rushers.
They didn't double dip. They didn't triple dip. They went 4 times into the secondary, plus UDFAs and signings, and the defensive end position sitting over here being like, hey, guys, need some help.
Right.
And Veach forgot it. Like, did Veach just forget it?
The only thing I can think is they either one of two things. Either they were fairly certain that they were going to get Melvin Ingram back, which with the way that they put the tender on them to ensure they got that pick, I don't think they were so sure they were going to get him back. I think they did that just as an insurance plan, like, hey, at least we'll get the compensatory pick after he signs with somebody else. But maybe they have some hope with Kane, though. Maybe they've seen some stuff we haven't seen. Maybe they think that he's going to step up and play some this year and contribute. Otherwise, I don't know why they abandoned it completely, because right now in the market, there's not a lot. There's Davian Clowney. And who else did you say earlier?
Trey Flowers, I believe,
Trey
hasn't been signed yet.
Flowers.
Both
So
29 years old, both decently productive. Don't get me wrong, like little bit of injury concerns, I think, with both of them. I think Flowers has had some injuries too, but I mean, I'm guessing they're just wanting too much money, or I would happen to think that 29 years old is not too old for Brett Veach, considering Melvin Ingram was older than
right.
that when they brought him in
Well,
last year.
neither of those guys have produced up to what they should have. Like they all had, everybody. Jadavian Clowney had a lot of hype coming out of college, and he never really lived up to it. So maybe there's something to do with that. I just think that he's kind of, done for.
I think it's got to be the money, because you can't tell me that either of those guys you wouldn't prefer over a Kando or maybe even Mike Dana at this point. Like, don't get me wrong, Dana's been okay, but he's
Right.
serviceable at best. Like he's what he is. I don't think he's like got a breakout coming or anything.
So is it just me, or the Chiefs kind of got themselves in a pickle now? Because we already discussed how they never really helped out at the defensive tackle position, and now they've abandoned the defensive end position as well. So they're kind of thin on both. So now you're looking at the whole defensive front is still not set. It's still very thin. There's no depth, and we have 80 defensive backs on this roster, and it's just like, why did we get so lopsided and tunnel visioned on the defensive backs? Because I feel like we're in a good spot with defensive backs, because right now I'm thinking McDuffie probably steps in. He might take the number one role. He might take the Tarvarius Ward role straight off the bat. And then you got L'Jarius Sneed, Rashad Fenton, and Lonnie Johnson. I think you're set there. And of course, you still have DeAndre Baker and some other guys. So, I mean, I don't think we need to be too worried about the defensive backs, the cornerbacks. Now, the front four, though, it's looking a little thin. So,
dude,
Mike,
the linebackers got better. I think linebackers are in a good spot, but the defensive line, you win in the trenches in this league, and to abandon the defensive line like we did does not make a lot of sense.
There's nothing short they could do right now of going out and trying to sign Ndamukong Suh and Jadeveon Clowney to where it looked like they actually were just like, dude, we got to do something. Right. So I don't think they're in that position to where they're going to be, say, desperate to do that and go sign both of those guys. I would not be opposed to it because I feel like they do need to do something. But is there really an answer to that, or is it just kind of a subjective thing, or do we just ride it out and we play with what we play with? Or the most likely scenario is they just sign back Alex Okafor for the 75th time and think that's the solution. So what do you, Mike, what do you think's the solution if you were in control of it and you had to take control of the situation and fix that front four? What are you doing right now?
Well, I think drafting Karlaftis was a good move. I think Karlaftis was a top 3, maybe 4 edge in the whole draft. He could also kick down. He's strong enough to play defensive tackle next to Chris Jones on some snaps if you want.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are they going to try to maybe move Jones back out and experiment with him on the defensive end every once in a while again? Like, I thought that was over with. Like, it didn't work.
Everybody in Chiefs Kingdom hopes that's over with because.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would not be opposed. I know it's a very polarizing player in Ndamukong Suh, but he's an Iron Man. I don't think the dude's missed a game in his whole career. He's big, he's strong, he's mean. I mean, I get it. He's kind of that attitude where it's like, yeah, he could just as easily sack the quarterback and win the game, but turn around and get the personal foul penalty that loses it too.
Stomp on some helpless soul on the ground.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Like, I feel like our defense is trying to get like this mean image, this hit you hard image.
For sure.
And I think Suh fits that perfectly. And I think stepping in with Chris Jones and those two in the middle instantly, at least for one season, is a good option. As for the defensive ends, Clark, Karlaftis, Dana will get you a few snaps. Kando could come back, as you said, and be okay. We haven't seen a lot from him, so who knows? But maybe if the money's right, I don't think Clowney for a year would be bad either. You don't have to play him every down. let him just rush the passer, get after it on third downs. He takes 20 snaps, 25 snaps a game, and he's good. It's got to be a money issue, or it's got to be an injury concern that we're not seeing, because it's not just the Chiefs not signing these guys either. This is nobody's signing these guys. So
what do you suggest?
I don't
just
know.
Grab them on a 1 year, see if they produce. If not, see you later. I mean, because they're going to have to have. They're going to have to have set it up pretty.
Yeah, I would set it up pretty much the same way we tried to get the MVS contract. Why not? I mean, MVS is basically after one season, he can be cut. So
I think it's 2.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it might be. You might be right. But still, 29 years old for Clowney, 2 years is not out of the question. He should be productive when he's 30. I mean, come on. Justin Houston's 33, and I think he was producing at 30, was he not? So
decent.
I mean, but they don't have to produce. We're not asking them to come in and be Clark or Karlaftis. I mean, Clark hasn't even produced. Let's be honest. So Clark's not even a good option here. We're in trouble. I think
we could be.
I think we could be.
So there is like this little stat floating around right now where the Chiefs actually were, I want to say they were in the top 10 on QB pressure last year, but they were like 25th or worse in sacks. So I'm wondering if Brett Veach and Reed and Spags, what if they think that our pass rush is fine, but we've got to get this defensive back settled in to make sure they have time to get home and make the sack, because they're getting pressure on the quarterback, but they're not being able to finish. So are they thinking if they beef up the cornerbacks, tighten down coverage, quit giving them quick throws, that maybe they can use what they have and it succeed?
Well, your solution, if your solution to fixing this problem is to have coverage sacks, you're in trouble. Because the NFL
coverage sacks, but
well, I mean, the NFL, be it Mahomes, be it Brady, be whoever it is, quarterbacks do not hang on to the ball very long. You've got like 2 seconds. Brady gets rid of it in like a second. It's hard to get home on quarterbacks in this kind of league. And let's be honest, Karlaftis in college only had like 4 or 5 sacks his senior year. He gets a lot of pressures, but he don't get home.
Well,
so they kind of went and got the same guy.
If
they went and got the same guy.
Chief Keenum's always saying that. Oh, he don't sack, so why do we get him?
Right, but I feel like that's just what they're wanting, kind of like what you've alluded to. Like, are we not trying to sack the quarterback? Like, are we trying to are we doing this new mental thing where we're making you think you're secure? Like, we're just gonna put pressure on you until you know.
I don't know what they're doing. I just think that they think that the solution is to have better coverage, and then we'll get more sacks because of it. Not saying that it's going to be a coverage sack. It just takes that long. I just think that they're wanting that extra second or whatever. Because like I said, if you're top 10 in pressures, but you're in the bottom 5 in actual sacks, then obviously there's a gap there. And I think that's what they're trying to fill in.
But the NFL is at the most pass happy, offensively skewed, slanted, everything goes to the offenses than it's ever been. So I would think the 85 Bears would have trouble competing with the modern rules, targeting. You can't hit a quarterback. You can't touch him below the belt. You can't graze his helmet. You can't breathe on him. It's tough for defenses to be physical, and it's tough for defenses to dominate games. Can it happen? Yes. Tampa Bay dominated us in the Super Bowl. That was a dominating defensive performance.
You just have to
but a lot of that was
– you just have to go do it. If you get flags, you get flags. I mean, people got to stop worrying about that stuff. I mean, go hit him. If they throw a flag, so be it. But just play. Hit him, hit whoever, do what you got to do. Quit worrying about that stuff. I mean, if they're going to be that way, they're going to be that way. But you got to play the game.
I totally agree. So that's why I believe Ndamukong Suh would be a decent signing. I think he brings that mentality. He brings that toughness. Again, he's polarizing. Some people don't like him. They say he's cheap and he's dirty.
Well, I actually
subjective.
I put a poll on Twitter that I said if we could sign one of the two, Jadeveon Clowney or Ndamukong Suh, to help out that defensive front, which one would you rather have? And it actually was a perfect 50-50 split. So throughout Chiefs Twitter, half of them were just as on board with Suh as they were Clowney. So I don't think that, the people.
I personally would rather have Suh. I think Suh for his money is a better value. He's less injury prone. I think he creates enough pressure up the middle that Chris Jones actually gets more sacks this year. So
Chris Jones just needs to learn how to sack somebody in the playoffs. He's got to stop disappearing when things get real, man. Like he'll be a monster throughout the season and then he's quiet as a mouse throughout the whole playoffs. It's insane.
But at that same time, is not having Frank Clark being so dominant and not having a true edge rusher on the other end, you got to worry about. Are they just game planning and double teaming? I mean, I think Jones is just looked at as the defender to block. So when it comes to those crunch time moments, they're like, look, we're going to double and triple him, but we'll let the other guys beat us, but Jones ain't going to beat us.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to that. But like, if we were to get Sue in the middle with him, you're not going to see that as much. What are you going to do? I think that would be the perfect signing right now. As far as the edge rushers go, I do think that we're thin there, and they probably should have tried to get at least maybe one more in the middle of the draft, or have signed one earlier. But I really think they thought they were going to get back Ingram. But either way, right now, I think the smartest thing to do for the Kansas City would be to get Sue. Like I'm with you. I think that they're trying to get to a more of a smash mouth, tough defensive mindset anyway. If you look at the players they drafted with Leo Chanel and Brian Cook, they're just, headhunting all the time. They just want to hit people.
Karlaftis, he's that guy.
Yeah. And so Nick Bolton to an extent is that way. He wants to hit, wants to make plays. And I think that's what they're trying to get to. So why not get somebody like Sue in there that's going to fit right in with that, and then take that double team off of Chris Jones and let him succeed, which we've already talked about in previous episodes. I even did an article on allchiefedup.com about how we need to get somebody in there with Chris Jones that's not Derek Nottie, that's not Turk Wharton, like somebody that makes a huge difference and takes this stuff off Chris Jones. Now could be the time to pull the trigger on that.
So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I'm kind of confused as to why we didn't double dip that defensive end in the draft. There must have just not been nobody they loved around the round 4, round 5 mark. Because again, we love Kennard on this channel, and you loved him in the draft, and we did need an offensive tackle, but looking at it, I don't know if offensive tackle was a bigger need than defensive end at this point. And
no. I think you're looking at the wrong place. I think that it was not having 25 defensive backs. Like, take your right tackle.
But who are you getting in round 7? We took 2 defensive backs in round 7, and I don't know if there would have been an edge rusher there.
I'm not dogging on this guy whatsoever. I think he'll be a good player. But Josh Williams was probably the most unnecessary pick of the draft. Like, first of all, you reached on him big time. Second of all, we didn't need another cornerback because you're getting ready to draft 5 more of them. And it's like, and we're going to get Lonnie Johnson in a trade. Like, of course, I didn't know this, but at the same time, it's just like, in hindsight, that was a waste of a pick there that could have been used on probably a decent edge rusher that was still available. I'm trying to think who was still available at that time.
Let me look.
4th round.
I'm going to look really quick.
Because I know some of the guys actually went a lot higher than projected. I think Michael Clemens even went in the 3rd round to Indianapolis, maybe. So, I mean, some of them guys were going a little earlier, and maybe it was a little thin when it got to that. But I feel like there's probably somebody still on the board that could have contributed. But we even talked about in past episodes as well, man, what if they just wouldn't have jumped the gun on Cook and grabbed Nick Benito right there? Granted,
dude, we were huge Nick Benito guys. And I mean, they said he's situational. But I mean, let's be honest. If you draft Karlaftis, there's your every down set the edge guy. So you could afford to have the situational guy there,
Something the Chiefs have been missing for years now is a speed rusher. The last one that we've supposedly had was D Ford, and D Ford was not what that's not what you imagine when you think of a speed rusher. You want somebody more productive, somebody being more disruptive. I think Nick Benito was that pick, and now we're going to have to look at him at Denver. We're probably going to not like Nick Benito anymore because he's going to be a pain in our butt. And I just feel like the Chiefs do fail to find a speed rusher for the last several years. And I mean, I think that's kind of what they were missing, but.
Okay. So I've brought up the draft board. You hate Josh Williams. So
I don't hate him at all. And I think he's a good player, but I'm just questioning, was that the right time to take him?
He's on the phone right now. We're going to bring him into the podcast. You can tell him.
Bring him on here. I have nothing against the guy, but I do think that was a questionable.
No, I'm with you. I get what you're saying. It's not about the player. It's about the need at that point. And was it enough to get another corner, knowing we have Snead and Fenton And we just drafted one in the first round that you give
traded
up picks.
You traded up to draft McDuffie in the first round. So why are you taking another one in the fourth round after you took a safety? You know, I don't know.
Right. So after we picked Josh Williams, the rest of the round, there was no defensive ends taken. So nothing there. If I go to round 5, the very next defensive end that came off the board would have been, let's just see what it would have been. Edge rusher Tyreek Smith from Ohio State. That was the next one to come off the board. To be honest, honestly think Joshua Williams would be a better corner than Tyreek Smith would be a defensive end.
Yeah. Well,
the next one that come off the board was Asezi Otamiwo from Minnesota, Boye Mafi's running mate, and he wasn't very good either. So I just think the defensive end was very top heavy. Yeah. It was top heavy, and there was no point in taking him at that point. I mean, that had to be Veach's, his logic. I think our spot was Benito.
I think
that was the last guy that I would have taken. When you look at the names and you look at our options on defensive end, besides Clowney and Trey Flowers, which obviously we must not have interest in, or the money's too high, I just don't think there's no impact signing there. Like, we just may have to go into the season with what we have. Does Veach make a trade possibly? I don't know if it's out of the question. I do know that the draft's in Kansas City next year, and they're just trying to load up on picks to appease the hometown crowd probably. So I don't see him trading off any picks next year for him.
Veach done said Hunt told him that he can't trade the first round pick next year.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a solution to this, but if I trust anybody to fix it, it's Veach. Veach will figure it out. Our coaches will figure it out. I think everybody's got to kind of chill a little bit, but I would say Ndamukong Suh would be a great signing at this point. That would be my solution. He's not a defensive end, but he's going to increase the pass rush. So by default, it gets better.
Yeah, so I think that's fair to say that's the all chiefed up solution to this predicament we have at edge rusher. Is
the best we can do.
We're not even going to get an edge rusher, guys. We need to sign Ndamukong Suh, put him in the middle with Chris Jones, wreak havoc in the middle of that line, draw the double teams, and then let Karlaftis and Clark do work, man. Clark's got to show up this year. He has to. He had some injuries and stuff last year, so I'm not going to dog on him too hard, but he did kind of fade a little bit last year. Karlaftis, I think, is going to come out hungry, and I think he's going to be ready to roll. So I think, like I said, if we just got, Suh in there in the middle with Jones, I think Clark and Karlaftis could wreak a little havoc, especially now with the DBs, with the cornerbacks that may be able to, make that quarterback hang on to that ball for one more second. I'm totally fine with this being like the focal point. Like, we're trying to figure out, did we get enough at defensive end, or do we need another person in the middle on defense? But that's literally the only spot on this whole absolute roster that we're looking at and saying, man, there might be a problem here. Maybe not. Maybe. Could we fix it? Possibly. But I mean, if you look at the roster as a whole, like, that's pretty cool. That's all we're really worried about, because I mean, on offense now, with the receivers set up the way they are, we got our running back room looking good. Of course, we got Mahomes. So, I mean, the rest of the team is looking good, and the future is looking bright for the Chiefs. So I'm excited to see how this year plays out. I'm still sticking with maybe we can go 12-5. I saw where Nick Wright also thought the Chiefs would go 12-5 this year, which of course he's a Chiefs homer as well. But
man, you gotta love Nick Wright. He's dumb, but he's awesome.
We're not the only ones, okay? So
I don't know. I want to get Nick Wright on this podcast. It's probably impossible, but it would be hilarious. Steve, how's your day been, man? What's going
on? Baby boy had his first birthday.
He did.
So Dominic turned 1. So I'm officially past the 1 year mark on the last children's that I'm going to have. So
let's hope. Fingers crossed.
That was it was good. We went and we took him to his favorite, some Mexican food, so he could, feast on some rice and beans and chicken, because that's what he does. And you got him an awesome present. It was a little Patrick Mahomes. What is it? A little plushie.
Yeah, they're called an itty bitty plushie, and like Hallmark does a series out of all places. So I grabbed him one of the limited edition white jersey Patrick Mahomes ones, and he enjoyed it. He loved it.
He said, "It's Patrick."
Yeah, I swear it sounded just like it. Like, I was like, whatever. So I made a tweet about it and tagged Patrick and Brittany and Randy, Patrick's mom, and she actually liked the tweet. So I'm on a quest to see if we can betroth Sterling Mahomes to Steve's son, and maybe we just have an arranged marriage going so we can get some better seats at the games.
Yeah, the groundwork has been set, so now we'll just let it
has.
flow out and see how that goes. So,
Hey, Sterling's a cute little baby. Dom is
Yep.
adorable little baby. I mean, it's match made right there. I don't know what else they need.
yeah, but see,
There's
by
cute
the
babies.
time they, have their arranged marriage, Mahomes is going to be old and retired. So,
That's
I don't know what
true.
we're shooting for here.
Thanks for tuning in. You've been listening to All Chiefed Up. Be sure to subscribe and follow on all social media at All Chiefed Up.